Alright, good evening folks, it's Enforcer Matt, and welcome back to another short war video, and today we have some absolutely wild news coming from the Middle East this morning, and also Europe, so let's jump right into it. This morning, Israel launched an attack on Qatar, which is a major US ally in the region, striking Hamas top leadership in a precision strike on the capital of Doha, which has led to a massive uproar in the Middle East. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia has vowed to deploy all capabilities to support Qatar amid the Israeli strikes as the US hesitates to disclose the details of its role in the operation. Meanwhile, in Europe, Poland has closed its border with Belarus, citing extreme security concerns as the massive Zapad military exercises between Russia and Belarus are about to take place. We also have remarkable footage showing Ukraine launching a high-powered cruise missile attack on Russian targets, seemingly revealing a new potent Ukrainian-made weapon, and also we have more news about US military deployments to Venezuela amid action that is believed to be imminent. So we have very big news today, and let's jump right into our first article, which goes to FiTux.News. And this right here is our biggest story of the day. Right now we're hearing that apparently Israel launched a missile strike on Qatar, which is a major US ally. Like I mentioned, we have a very large air base there in Qatar. Right now we're hearing that Hamas top leadership has been struck in an Israeli precision strike in Qatar's capital of Doha, according to the IDF. So this is obviously a massive escalation. Qatar being hit by Israel is unprecedented at this point, and right here in the picture you can see this is the aftermath of that strike, and allegedly the Hamas officials were in this building when it was struck by the Israeli missiles. So this is something here which is obviously hard to even describe at this point, and not something I was expecting to see this morning. So Israel has officially attacked Qatar as of today, and this has caused quite the uproar in the region. But let's go ahead and move into our next post here, and this one goes to Military News Ukraine, and also we have seen here some more details about this strike, and reportedly, like I mentioned, it was targeting a delegation of Hamas that had arrived in Doha to discuss the proposal to end the conflict, and it appears to be that the talks on a ceasefire were allegedly a trap, but that's up for debate right now. And also Israel's codenamed the operation Operation Pinnacle of Fire, and says it carried it out with the help of American intelligence. And also, take that last part with a grain of salt, right now the American position is kind of a little bit unknown right now in this situation, but we'll get into that in just a minute. But first of all, let's take a look at our first video of this strike right here in Doha, which is the capital of Qatar, by Israeli strikes. So let's take a look. So right there you can see the first explosion. And also there's a second explosion right there. As you can see, all these people running down the street. I'm going to go ahead and mute that, by the way. This is literally the capital of Qatar. This is not Syria. This is not Gaza. This is the capital of Qatar that's being struck right here by the Israelis. So to say this was unexpected to me, I would say that's an understatement. But as you can see right there, all the citizens of Qatar running down the street and running away from the explosions, that is quite wild to see right there. Was not expecting to see that. But that is our first video of these strikes. And moving into our next one here, this one goes to FiTux Network yet again. And not only do we have a view from the street, which we just saw in our last post, but also we have apparently some CCTV video showing this as well. It looks like it was taken from maybe the side of a building or maybe from a window. So let's take a look at this one showing the moments of the initial strike in Doha. So right here you can see it. There is the initial impact right there on camera. There's the secondary impact as well. All this is happening right here on CCTV, and there it is up close again. This is a repeat of the same thing, and you can see very large impacts. Those were not small explosions whatsoever, and those were very potent. So we're not told exactly what weapon was used by the Israelis to carry this out, but obviously it was a pretty sizable weapon just from the explosion here in the video. So quite interesting to see that from a CCTV camera. But moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to Status 6 Military and Conflict News. And in this post right here, we have the aftermath video showing what happened to the building after it was struck, and the damage was quite severe. And also this is being filmed from somebody's vehicle here on the street in Doha. So let's take a look at this video and see the aftermath of the Israeli strike. So right there you can see there is the aftermath of those strikes right there on that building. This was the target of the strikes, a very precise strike by the Israelis, but nonetheless it is unprecedented despite how precise it was. But as you can see right there, people were inspecting the damage from it, and this guy's filming from his vehicle right here on the street. So quite a sight right there. That is really a sight to see. And also look at that damage right there. It literally gutted the interior of that building that was struck. So that is another angle from the street of the aftermath. But moving into our next post here, this one goes to open source intel. And after that strike occurred, we did hear that the U.S. Embassy in Doha has issued an official directive instructing all American citizens to shelter in place until further notice. So this right here is a little bit interesting to me because this was sent out after the attacks took place. This was not sent out before, and to me, that makes me question whether or not the Americans were truly informed ahead of time about this strike by Israel on Qatar. So that's a little bit up for debate right now. We'll get into that in just a second. The Israelis are claiming they notified the United States, and the U.S. is claiming they got some notification, but not very much. So right now, it's a little bit up in the air. Somebody's lying here. Obviously, somebody's lying, but we'll have to try to get to the bottom of it in our next post. But you do see the U.S. Embassy told Americans to shelter in place after this strike took place. So very interesting as well. But moving into our next one, this one goes to Inside Geopolitics. And as a result of that unprecedented strike in Qatar by Israel, we have seen that Saudi Arabia has vowed to deploy all capabilities to support Qatar. And obviously, that is not good because here's the deal, folks. Qatar, despite what people feel about them, houses a major U.S. air base, the largest one in the region, actually, and we'll show that in just a minute. And this is quite serious because we cannot afford to lose that air base in Qatar, and we also can't afford to soil relations with Qatar either because we need that air base because it's also headquarters for other operations commands of the region. So right here, we're seeing that Saudi Arabia condemned the quote-unquote brutal Israeli aggression and the flagrant violation of the sovereignty of Qatar, and also the UAE expresses full solidarity with Qatar as well. So obviously, it goes without saying that this decision by Israel to strike Qatar could have some wide-ranging political fallout for the United States depending on what the U.S. involvement was in these strikes. So right now, that is the big question. How involved was the United States, and did they know this was going to happen? Because it could lead to the falling out of several different alliances in the region. So moving into our next post here, this one goes to Google, and we actually have some information about the major U.S. military facility in Qatar, which is the Al Udeid Air Base. And if you're curious why this air base is so important to the United States, it is located southwest of Doha in the exact same place where these airstrikes just occurred. It's also the largest U.S. base in the Middle East, and it serves as the forward headquarters for U.S. CENTCOM, which is U.S. Central Command, and the base also hosts the Combined Air Operations Center, and it's also used as a major staging ground for military operations across the region. So right now, this is our biggest military base in the Middle East, and it happens to be right in Qatar, which was just struck by Israel, and Qatar is very, very unhappy about that strike. So the U.S. hopefully decides to sort of back off this one right here because we can't afford to soil relations with that country. We can't afford to lose the Al Udeid Air Base. So hopefully this turns out to be okay when it comes to relations between Qatar and the United States, because if not, we could be in some deep trouble over Israel's strike on Qatar. And I'll be perfectly honest, I support Israel, and obviously they have the right to self-defense, but at the same time, though, I am not willing to sacrifice U.S. Foreign policy standing just so Israel can get a strike in on these groups they're trying to get right here. So that's just my position. Let me know down in the comments below what you feel about this whole situation, because it's certainly contentious and it's certainly up for debate right now at this point because the fallout could be severe. But jumping into our next post here, this one goes to Ocean Defender, and also we have some more information here about what U.S. officials knew about this strike. And we are hearing, according to recent reporting, that senior U.S. officials say that the administration was only notified by Israel about today's strike operation once the missiles were already in the air, leaving them no opportunity to weigh in. So that right now is the best reporting we have on the situation. It sounds like the U.S. was technically notified by Israel, but by the time they were notified of it, the missiles were already flying into Qatar. Now, it's up for debate. Somebody here could be lying, and obviously someone is. There's truth in between all this stuff right here, but I'm really not sure what to believe right now because the Israelis are claiming one thing and the U.S. is claiming another, so we'll have to wait and see. But while all that is brewing right there, we're moving into our next post here and switching gears just a little bit to cover our European news, because right now we've got some big developments with Poland and Russia, and things are heating up and things are looking very concerning right now as the pod is about to kick off inside of Belarus. And right now we're hearing from Geo Insider that Poland will shut its border crossings with Belarus. This is a brand new breaking information, and also they will close down the rail links as well on Thursday night ahead of the Russia-Belarus pod military drills, which are apparently scheduled for September 12th through the 16th, and that's a tentative date right now. And the Prime Minister Donald Tusk called the maneuvers of Russia aggressive and citing citing rising provocations from Minsk and Moscow. So Poland's closed the border right now, and also Poland has military exercises that's about to happen during the entire month of September, and also I believe it's Latvia or Lithuania is doing them as well. So there are right now, we're seeing multiple different counter exercises being conducted to combat these pod exercises that Russia is currently conducting or about to conduct inside of Belarus. So a very tense situation, and this is going to be a very, very important situation to watch because it could turn out to be something much bigger than we were even expecting. So certainly a big story. But speaking of Russia and Belarus, we're moving on to our next article here, and also at the same time, Poland's security services have just arrested a Belarusian agent and will expel a Belarusian diplomat accused of aiding espionage, according to the Prime Minister Donald Tusk, and the operation, coordinated with Romania, Czechia, Hungary, and Moldova, led to charges of spying in Poland and Hungary. So not a good thing either. In the midst of all this stuff happening with the military exercises, Poland literally just caught a Belarusian agent on their soil trying to spy on them. So, you know, connect the dots here, that's not looking good. And also the timing's not good either. They literally just found them before Zapod's about to kick off. So not good at all. And it looks like Poland is getting very concerned about all these developments happening right now in the region. But moving into our next post here, this one goes to OSINT Technical. Also on another front of news, last night we saw a major Ukrainian attack using a new type of weapon, a Ukrainian cruise missile actually, in Donetsk city on Russian targets. So right here in this post, we can see footage of a stream of Ukrainian cruise missiles, at least 3 or 4, slamming into a Russian target in Donetsk city this evening, and Ukraine appears to have revealed a new mid-range cruise missile today in a major way. And we actually have information about this cruise missile right here. We believe we cracked the case on it, and we think we have an idea of exactly what this new weapon was. So let's take a look at our first video of the Ukrainian-made cruise missile slamming into a Russian target. And there it goes right there. Several of them actually. And you can hear in the distance right there in the background, that was the hits from those cruise missiles. Those things are flying very, very fast, and it sounds like a turbojet. Listen to that sound right there. That sounds distinctly like a turbojet, which happens to line up exactly with a brand new weapon that Ukraine's been referring to for a very long time, and they're moving very fast. So I think I know exactly what that is, but you can see they are definitely in action right here, and Russia is currently trying to combat that because it's a brand new threat. So very interesting to see right there on camera. But moving into our next post here, this one also goes to OSINT Technical, and we have yet even more footage of the Ukrainian cruise missiles hitting more targets in Russian-occupied Donetsk. So let's take a look at this video as well. Oh wow, look at that. Now that was a hit and a half right there, and that thing came in very, very gracefully. Look at how graceful that thing came in. Very, very fast weapon right there, and it looks like a very potent turbojet on the back of that weapon. So that is crazy to see that. That is one of the first times Ukraine has used their own homemade weapon, and it looks like they're working extremely well, according to what we're seeing right here in the video. So that should have Russia very, very worried. But moving into our next post here, we have one from War Translated, and we're hearing from analysts that apparently in occupied Donetsk, which is where those missiles just hit, the former Topaz plant was struck by those missiles, and also they note that the occupiers repeatedly used the industrial zone as a base for military equipment and personnel, and also they hit a substation in Makivka, and that was also hit as well. So we have a longer video here showing these strikes, so let's take a look at the longer video and the different angles. And also, sorry for the tiny video here, but as you can see, there is smoke rising from some of these different targets being hit. There's some more smoke rising as well from another area. And also, look, there were some drones in the mix, and that appears to be a brand new drone too. They're bringing out like an Apple event here or something. This is a brand new technology unveiling right here. Let me go ahead and mute that. There goes some more. That's actually the cruise missile, by the way. I'm gonna go ahead and just tell y'all that looks to be a Palianytsia, which is a brand new turbojet cruise missile that Ukraine developed themselves. We'll get into that in just a second though. But as you can see right here, extensive damage. There's also the substation out there in the distance that was hit by these missiles as well. So very wide ranging. And one thing you'll note is no Russian air defense was able to take these down. I don't see any of them being taken down by the Russians, which could indicate they don't have a capability to take it down. So very interesting to see. But moving into our next post here, this one's going to go to Max 25. And you might be asking yourself, Matt, why are you calling that a Palianytsia? How do you know that's a Palianytsia, and what led you to conclude that? And this is what led me to conclude this. Fragments of a cruise missile, presumably a Palianytsia, which is what we just discussed a moment ago, were found in Donetsk, and they were on the ground literally in the same place where those missiles were seen hitting their targets there on video a moment ago. So let's take a look, and then we'll go over exactly what a Palianytsia even is. So right there you can see that appears to be a turbojet, and also this appears to be some mangled metal right here, which would seem to line up with a missile hitting and also some debris falling from it. So you can see right there, that was definitely a turbojet in that pile right there. And there's one weapon that Ukraine's developed which actually uses that exact turbojet right there, and it's the Palianytsia. So it looks like that is likely that what this is right here is debris from that new Ukrainian cruise missile, and it actually landed right on the ground so that way we get a good look at it. So very interesting, but let's talk about exactly what a Palianytsia even is right here. I'll be honest, very little is known about it right now, but this is the outline of the missile itself. You'll notice that it seems to match up almost precisely with what we just saw in the sky. There are two winglets here at the very front of it, which we also saw in the video. There's a turbojet at the very back, which we just saw laying on the ground, and also the metal is generally the same metal that's used right here in this graph. It looks generally about the same, and we do see here that this was developed by Ukraine as a turbojet drone missile system. Technically, I would say it's more of a cruise missile than a drone, but you know, they're calling it a drone. And this weapon right here, which is a cross between a missile and a drone, it took about 18 months to design, and also it sidestepped all the prohibitions on using Western weapons to strike deep into Russia. So these drones right here can hit up to 600 miles from the front line, and they have a hypothetical maximum range of about 1,200 miles. So a very potent weapon indeed, and generally speaking, it can carry about 100 kilograms of payload, and it weighs about 320 kilograms. So it also has a cruising speed of 900 kilometers per hour. So that would seem to line up with what we saw in that video, a very fast-moving weapon, and this appears to be exactly what that was. So it could be one of the first documented uses of that missile on camera. So very interesting to see right there on the video. But moving into our next one here, this one goes to Max 25. Also, by the way, we do have up-close video of that Russian substation in Donetsk that was hit, that we saw in the distance in our last video. So let's take a look at the up-close video of it as well. So as you can see right here, this is the area in which the substation was hit, and this appears to be a strike on a nearby building as well that we're seeing right here in Donetsk. So very potent hits, and it looks like the Russian fire department is trying to get up there actually, so that's kind of shocking to see that. But the Russian fire department appears to be on their game as of lately, which seems to be a big change for them. But moving on from that, by the way, folks, we're moving into our next article here, which goes to Military News Ukraine. On another bad front for the Russians, we've heard the Slavyansk oil refinery in Krasnodar Krai has been suspended due to a Ukrainian missile and drone strike. The attack actually occurred back on September the 4th. It caused extensive damage, and now apparently it has been suspended indefinitely as a result of the strike. And this was the facility right here, and it looks like it got burned so bad that it literally can't even function anymore. It's going to be a long time before it gets put back online. So a pretty potent suspension there, because that produced a lot of refined oil products for the Russians, and that's not good during their gas crisis. So not good for them. But moving on to our next one, this one goes to Status 6 military and conflict news yet again. And also, by the way, we have some Russian stupidity going on today. We've seen two Russian soldiers on the front lines on motorbikes have crashed into each other while driving too close to each other on a path. So how do you expect to fight a war when you can't even ride a motorcycle on a pretty wide path? You know, how's that look for your military? But let's take a look here at this. These guys literally just crashed into each other. This guy had a Snoopy sidecar too, so let's take a look. So look, it's a good day for Ivan, going down this trail right here on the front lines in his little sidecar motorcycle thing. Oh look, there's some comrades there coming his way. Oh look, that guy almost hit him right there too, but uh-oh. Oh no, Bliat, it looks like he was snagged by the handlebar, and he probably got him in the gut too, because it sounds like he's retching in pain right there, but yeah, he's definitely in pain, like, for sure. And he's going off right now. He's about to give it to this other guy. Look, he's getting off. This is like Russian road rage, but in a wartime scenario. It still happens in war too. And you can see this guy right here. He's going back to have a word with this other guy back over here, who appears to have stopped as well. Looks like he also got gutted there as well. So there you can see it. He's back there trying to pick his motorcycle up. What a goofy situation, by the way. But anyways, just want to show you all that real quick, just to show you all the Russian stupidity on the front lines. But with that, though, we're moving back into some more serious news, which goes to conflict radar. And let's switch gears away from our news about Russia and Ukraine for a second, because we got some big news coming out of Venezuela as well. Many people have been asking us in the comments, what is going on with Venezuela? Is it still happening? Is it still on? And yes, it is still on, and the deployments are still happening to Venezuela. And right now, we're seeing that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, apparently went aboard the USS Iwo Jima, and the carrier is currently in the Caribbean region. So we have a visit from the Secretary of War, Secretary or Department of Defense, whatever you want to call him at this point. You can call him either one. I think technically either one's correct, but he's aboard the USS Iwo Jima. So let's take a look. So here we have it, the carrier, which is currently right near Venezuela in the Caribbean. As you can see here, there is the Secretary of Defense, Secretary of War. He's walking over here to meet the fella here, the commander, I believe. So there you go, there you have it. And also, there appears to be some Ospreys, I think, in the background, or maybe that newer model. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, that's a quick video there showing you him on the vessel. He is checking out the troops, and he's down there for his photo opportunity. So there you have it. That is that post. But moving into our next one here, this one goes to Ocean Defender, and we've also seen here a picture of an MQ-9 Reaper with the U.S. Air Force sitting on the tarmac at Rafael Hernandez International Airport in Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, as part of the ongoing buildup of military assets in the Southern Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela. And as you can see here, here's the photo right here. This appears to be sitting right there. And also look at these gentlemen down here, these soldiers taking a look under this awning right here, taking it nice and easy, like they're here at the beach or something like that. Look at that. Very nice to see. And also, by the way, folks, it is rumored and also believed that an MQ-9 Reaper, it could be this exact one that might have been armed with Hellfire missiles, actually took out that first narco drug boat that we saw off the coast of Venezuela as well. So that is believed was to have carried that out, and there's a picture of one sitting right there at the international airport. But also, we have some more pictures of aircraft for you. Moving into our next post here from Phytux, we see also in Puerto Rico, the Marines of the 22nd Marine Expeditionary Unit are conducting maintenance on their Super Stallion. And also, we do see here, there is the image, and there are the guys right there performing maintenance on the rotor system, it looks like. I would assume, maybe I'm correct, maybe I'm not, but it looks like the rotor system. And they're also up there doing all that hard work on their nice Super Stallion. So look at that, very nice to see. And also right there in Puerto Rico, I'm not sure what the temperature is down there right now, but I would imagine it looks to be pretty hot. But there they are on the runway. But moving on to our last story of the video, we have one from Jamie Ocon, and we've seen some news about Taiwan as well. Very quickly, we've seen that Taiwan has added a new ship to their Coast Guard, a 1,000-ton Coast Guard patrol cutter to its fleet, and this is the fourth of 6 advanced vessels included in the procurement program. And these ships are also armed with the Zenhai rocket system, and these can be fitted with about 42 2.5-inch rockets or flares. So let's take a look here at this thing cornering. They got this thing drifting through the water out here, and it is quite majestic. So let's take a look. And there you have it, the Taiwan Coast Guard out here with their new vessel looking nice and clean and fresh. And there it is, doing a little sharp turn right there, drifting through the water. You got to drift it to make sure it's working right. And it looks like it's working pretty good. Look at it drifting through there. It's making a nice big waves right there. I love to see it. Some say the best waves. Some say the world notorious waves. Some people say, who is that wave? I don't know who that wave is. But there you go. You have it right there in the video. But with that, folks, that is actually our last post of this video. But before you leave, folks, smack the like button on the video if you enjoyed it and found it informative. And also, by the way, subscribe to the channel if you already haven't for more daily short war updates just like this one, where we'll keep you up to date in real time as quick as these events are happening. And we appreciate all the likes and also all the subscribers from our videos, and we appreciate everybody as well for supporting the work. And also, by the way, folks, if you want to support our operation financially, you can do so on our Patreon page, and the link is in the description below for Patreon, where you can go over there and sign up for a monthly membership and support the channel that way with even $5 a month. That's still a big help, because it's all that viewer support that keeps the whole thing running, and we appreciate that very, very much. And also, by the way, just a quick reminder, we will not be streaming again until Thursday night, so that's only about a day or two away. We'll be back to streaming then. We're once again still trying to wrap up our operations in Salt Lake City to find an Enforcer HQ 3.0. So that's why the streams have not been here, but the short war videos are taking the place of that in the meantime, so hopefully that is covering it well enough for most people. But we will be right back to streaming here very, very shortly, so stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, folks, we will see you all in the next short war video, and with that, bye-bye for now.